Happy Friday. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Today, we're going to have Mr. Isaac Miller, who presented at RCS this past April, talk to us about the really exciting and very cool. I'm going to call it a product service because it's kind of both, right? I mean, it is a service, but it's also a product that he developed and that he is going to bring out to the world. And I figured this would be the best room for him to talk about it in because it's something I think we can all use. I'm not going to talk about it with any level of specificity or clarity because I don't know much about it. So I'm going to let him take the floor. Give us a very brief introduction of who you are and what you're doing right now. We don't need the origin story as much as anything else, but I just want people to get a little bit familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for letting me be on the call. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it. Super pumped to still be able to serve and be in the RCS community. So for me, again, my name's Isaac. A lot of you know me from RCS, but essentially I was in the military, did the military thing as a Marine. Also ran my own fitness coaching business and nutrition coaching business for over 15 years. And so I have a lot of experience there and helped and mentored hundreds of other coaches in building their businesses. And I recently kind of made a pivot to AI, working on a master's program in AI and machine learning. And just from talking to a lot of coaches, talking to a lot of nutritionists and health, wellness, fitness business owners, I saw a common theme of, I guess, pain, which is everyone loves serving people, but most people hate marketing that they are serving and helping people. And so when it comes to content, there's a lot of anxiety around posting on social media, a lot of uh, overwhelm in trying to post consistently and come up with content and perfect that content and have it actually do what it's meant to do. And then on the other hand of that, you have, creators who are coaches, but they're more creators than they are coaches, and they could be amazing coaches, but they have zero business coming in, even though their content is quote unquote great and they have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, but it's not actually talking to their audience. And so they have all of these followers who are just that. They're followers. They're not customers. They're not clients. And so I was like, how can we solve this problem in a way that still maintains human connection, human interaction, and especially in industries where trust is paramount. People don't want to trust an AI, they want to trust you. And so, how can we help overcome some of these obstacles with marketing, especially organic marketing, while still maintaining that human element? And so that's where our product content command kind of came about.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it obviously to some degree well, as you were developing it. I like what you said about the distinction between being a content creator and a coach, and I think it's palpable to try to understand that there is truly a distinction. I mean, the way that I break it down now is we have kind of three sectors of coaching. We have the true professionals, which is everybody in this room. Then we have the influencers, which are the people that you'll see at like the Arnold who are selling supplements and they have big followings and it's tits and ass, and that's really what they're known for. And then we have the I'm better than everybody. I'm in the functional health space, and you peons that are doing sets, reps, and macros will never hold a candle to my coaching. And this is where you have to be because this is the future of it. Door number one and three are not for me. I've done a lot of work with door number two, which is I am the peon that does macros and calories and sets and reps, and it works. It works for 99.9% of our population. And I think content creation has been such an easy thing for me because I have so many opinions and so many thoughts every single day. This is something I eat, sleep, and breathe essentially 24/7, 365. I scream it from the rooftops to everybody I talk about to. I'm always talking about this stuff, so I'm never going to be void of ways to present myself online. But I can definitely see that for other people who might not have the experience or the conviction or the confidence, that having systems around posting and having some help around posting can be really important because the only way that you're going to be a good online coach and source business online is if you fucking post. There's just no way around it. Everybody that I've been mentoring over the last 4 weeks, their biggest problem was they just weren't posting consistently. And the reason why I do as well as I do is because I haven't missed a day of posting in over 4 years. And I never will because that's part of my job description. It's coach, it's client fulfillment, and it's be on Instagram. Like if you look at my screen time, it's heavily Instagram because I'm responding to text messages or DMs. I'm responding to comments. I'm putting up stories. I'm trying to get my audience to learn from me and to trust me in every way that I possibly can get them to do so. Because I don't give a shit about them trying to buy something from me today. And I think the biggest problem that I see, and then obviously Isaac can talk to this as well, is that a lot of people post and they expect immediate feedback. It's like, I posted, so why aren't you buying something? It's like, well, no. You're literally just putting seed and then watering it. And that's all it is. And then maybe a year from now, that person who saw that post and then saw another 100 posts from you is finally going to be at a place in their life where they're going to say, I'm ready. I know this person's good at what they do. They have served me unconditionally without any expectation of me paying them for anything for a year now. They deserve my money. That's exactly how everybody's worked for me. I'm willing to play the long game for as long as it takes because the long game is what wins. And the long game is what creates sustainable businesses that are predictable and that aren't messy and muddy where you're essentially panicking 6 months out of the year because you're seeing this massive decline of interest. But you also have clients on the back end that are the anchor of your business. When it becomes that predictable, there's no more fear anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, I still don't like losing clients, but I don't have that same feeling in the pit of my stomach anymore that I used to when I see one person say, "Hey, I can't do this anymore, or I need to stop for whatever." Before it used to be this internal struggle and battle, like, fuck, when is the next one coming? I know the next one's coming. It may not be this month, but it's going to be next month. So, Isaac, tell us. I'm going to start with kind of just dissecting posting in general and kind of the stuff that you see because you are a tech guy.
Hmm.
Um, I think you know me well enough to know that I'm not a big reels person. Doesn't mean that I can't do them or won't do them. It just means that when I have ideas, I like putting them down on in written word. I find that written word is a really easy thing to read, and the way that I post, it makes it very easy to read. Do you see any type of indication that one is better than the other? Is a carousel post better than a static word post? Is a reel better than this or that? Like, is there any knowledge that you have or evidence that you have suggesting that one way of doing it is better than another?
Yeah, I think each one is powerful in its own right, specific to your audience, your voice, and the platform that you're on, right? And so this is where, as you said, you have those influencers. It's mainly all, tits and ass, and they're selling stuff, but it's not really like it's not substantial to coaching, to life change. But they do have amazing reach. And what's funny is you can find influencers in every niche. You can find, the Dr. Alan Argons and the different, creators, quote unquote, the Dr. Bill Campbells of the world, the Lauren Conlins of the world, who have amazing followings and they are amazing coaches. The John Jewetts, all of these people, but it's because they're posting consistently with content that speaks to their audience. And that audience grows because there's a lot of people, even outside of your circle, who want to hear what you have to say and want to receive it the way you have to say it, right? And so I do think it's important to understand that it's not just the content itself that makes that influencer grow, it's the volume that they're posting that allows it to grow. And so, Aram, you're a good example of this. Of you haven't missed a day of posting to Instagram. Now, my challenge would be what happens when we expand that out beyond Instagram? Because you have people who want to hear your message and read your message the way that you say it or write it, and they don't log into Instagram. Maybe they're on Twitter or they look at threads or they're on Facebook or they watch YouTube shorts, right? Or they're on TikTok. And so, what happens when we start to take your message, your voice, and your mission and spread that across all social media channels consistently? That's where what I like to call um, the creator's amusement park. If you've been on a one-on-one call with me before, I've explained this to you, so this might be redundant. But I used to play, I grew up, I'm a millennial. I grew up playing the Roller Coaster Tycoon, right? How many of you heard of that before? Just me. All right. No, a couple. Okay. So I was horrible at that game because I would nerd out on building like the biggest, coolest roller coaster, and then it would fill up my amusement park, and I realized I had nothing else. And so all of the little people would like leave and not come back because there was just one roller coaster. I see so many health and wellness and nutrition like coaches and business owners run their businesses the same way. They have this amazing roller coaster called their Instagram, and then they get, kind of beat up when they realize like, oh, my amusement park's not full. Well, you have to realize like your information center is maybe your website, right? And if that's not optimized, it's not helping you. And then maybe that like uh wacky house or haunted house that you have on your amusement park is your TikTok, where it's like a bunch of like just quick tips and reels and videos. And then you have like your big tall roller coaster like ride that is pretty chill, but it shows the whole park and it gives a lot of insight to what the park is. Maybe that's your YouTube with your long form. And when someone comes into one of those platforms and they start to see that you have these other platforms, then they start to go to those and they want to stay in your amusement park. They don't want to jump out and go to someone else's. And so when they get on Instagram, they see Carmi. When they get on TikTok, they see Carmi. When they get on YouTube, they see Carmi. When they get on X or Threads, they see Carmi. And that's a great tool because those touch points that Aram has built up with people over every day of posting on Instagram, it builds trust. But what happens if they're on multiple platforms and they're getting 3 to 4 to 6 touch points every day? They get way more comfortable and they build trust with you 10 times
Faster.
faster. And it converts into high intent, high quality, high engaging audiences that resonate with your message and are way more likely to buy sooner than if you were to stick to like one platform between 2 and 4 times a week.
And I think where the resistance point, at least for me, is, and maybe I can speak to this because I have these resistance points, is it's just not, it's like anything else. It's where you don't do it if it's not on top of mind. Like,
Hmm.
it's become completely automatic for me to, and obviously with Meta, it makes it very easy to cross post onto Facebook. That's not hard to do. That's literally, you can toggle it that way. And you can have as many pages on Facebook as you want, and it's not that big of a deal. But to have to then go and I have a YouTube channel. Like I have another side lifestyle YouTube channel. I have my own YouTube channel that I've put my own training videos on that aren't public, but if I wanted to turn them on, I absolutely could. But who I think does a really good job of this is Jared Hamilton.
Hmm.
Jared's really good at being able to spray content across all mediums. And there's not a platform that you can go on where you don't see Jared's name on it. And it's just that name recognition, it's that brand recognition, it's knowing that he's the emotional eating guy. And I've seen his shit on Instagram, I've seen it on TikTok, I've seen it on YouTube Shorts, I've watched long form videos, and then it brings me to his podcast. And I mean, for let's put it this way, guys, Jared charges 5 times what I charge and has no problem getting it. And why is that? Because he's solving a very specific problem to a very specific audience, and he's everywhere, and he's the person to do it because you just see so much of his stuff that eventually you're like, well, okay, he's got to be the guy. Where I find the point of resistance is that I'm not as good at the technology or understanding how to utilize the technology because I just don't do it. Do I think that TikTok is phenomenally more complicated than Instagram? It probably isn't. I just haven't spent any time playing around with the buttons and the features, and I just don't know how it works as well. So to me, that's like, well, if it's not broke, I'm not going to try to fix it. But I'm also probably missing out on this uncanny opportunity to be able to capture a wider audience because, again, my resistance point was always like, well, old people are on Facebook. because my mother's on Facebook, so that's my assumption. 22-year-old idiots are on TikTok, which is what I saw from the first day of being on it, that I never really had any evidence of that ever again. But then I'm seeing like people in their 40s and 50s sending me TikTok videos. So clearly it's not just 20-year-olds on TikTok. And then YouTube is one of those places where, because you have to curate the YouTube experience and search in the bar, to me, it's like, well, who's actually doing that? But then I'm like, well, I do that all the time. When I need to find something on YouTube that's relevant to me, I will use that search bar. But then when I find something in the search bar, then there's the rabbit hole that it brings you down of shorts and other things and suggestions. So, Isaac, how does your product service help us do this without having to really become experts at all these different mediums?
Yep, I love that. And this actually brings up, and I want to preface the first problem of adopting technology. Uh, and I know not everyone has their faces pulled up here on the screen, but show of hands, how many of you have tried to use ChatGPT or Claude to write content for you? All right, yeah, a few hands come up. Good. How many of you like had to keep reprompting it to finally make a post that you actually thought was like written and didn't just blatantly look like AI wrote it? Okay, yeah, a lot of hands popping up. Okay, cool. That was the first problem we wanted to solve. And so you can go through this process of creating agents that have like this second brain and keeping it updated and everything else. But instead, we're like, well, we can just build that so anyone can plug in and have this digital marketing agency at their disposal. And your agency team essentially built around our agents and our proprietary kind of algorithms and graphs and networks. What it does is we create a brand profile for you. And your brand profile is a bunch of questions. And oh, Janae, do you have a question? Or maybe she was just raising her hand about the AI slot.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Um, so we create this brand profile, and in this brand profile, we're like interviewing you and getting to understand you and your business and your ideal client and all of these things. But it's also analyzing your tone of voice, the way you speak, your mannerisms, the specific ways that you convey information, how you get passionate about certain things, what you like and what you don't like. And so your brand profile really is a great source of your voice, your unique voice, your tone, the way you write, the way you speak, what you're an expert in, who your ideal client is at a very fundamental and true level. Because if you speak to everybody, no one listens. If you speak to someone, everyone of that someone starts to listen. And so that's where AI has genuinely struggled over time is being able to actually capture you in your content. Well, we solve that problem by creating your own agency that's trained on your voice, your tone, and it's all secured in your own part of your app. And so, Andrew's personality and voice and tone is not going to be picked up by Emily's. And Melissa's is not going to affect Carmi's, and Jillian's is not going to affect Jenny's, right? Like it's all unique to you. And so that's where it helps improve the ability to create and write and organize content. That's not like, oh, I need to redo this like a million times to get it to sound like me. No, it sounds like you every time. And as you improve, like as you say, like, oh, that was a great post, accept, it reinforces itself and it learns and it gets better every single time. So that's where we kind of solve that problem of first introducing uh, technology into content.
Is that because, and then obviously you can go through this, but is that because of the onboarding process that you guys have and the questions that you ask and the way that you start to at least get to know the individual?
Correct. Correct. And then
Okay.
as you use it, it continues to learn more about you and what you like, what you don't like, the content you post, the information that you want to, give to the world, and it continues to teach itself over time so that it's even more hands-off as time goes. And it's pretty hands-off from the beginning.
So go into the onboarding process because I think that's important, right? Because if somebody does decide to use you guys and use the service, they should know what they're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, we start with an onboarding call where we kind of interview you, and we record that interview, and it's asking just questions about, who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? Why do you serve them? What's your mission? What's your vision? What's the core values you have? We really ask a lot of questions about your ideal customer. What's their pain points? What's their desires? What's like the typical age range for them? What's the unique things about them? We go into your service. What makes your service unique? What in the past makes content that you feel like is really good? Like what does that look like? What does good content look like to you? What does bad content look like to you? What are things that you don't want to see in your content? Do M dashes make you want to shake the screen? Do emojis on every line make you want to kick, a child? Like does some of these things just get you aggravated? And so we just go through this 20 to 30-minute interview and we record that. And so then we have our own internal AI that we've built out that is able to dissect that video and help us craft a brand profile specific to you. And then you can always then go in and make updates and changes to your brand profile as your company grows or changes. You might change your ideal customer. You might pivot into a new service. You might incorporate something new, and it can help adapt and maneuver your brand profile as you grow.
So obviously the question that's going to be on everybody's mind is what does something like this cost? Because I've gone down the rabbit hole of talking to video editors and people in that realm, and we know that that shit can get extremely, extremely costly. So for something like this, and coaches that might be struggling financially on a month-to-month basis are hesitant to invest in more stuff. What are they looking at as far as a commitment?
Yep, absolutely. So I'll share that, but first I want to share, if you don't mind, I want to share my screen and actually show you what this looks like.
Yeah, please.
So you can put an actual visual to the monetary, I'll say investment as like what normal coaches are taught to
Are
say,
you gonna show us the
right?
flight? Are you gonna show us the flight and not the destination?
No, I'm going to sell you the flight because I think right now the flight is the destination, right? So you log in, you have your um, let me minimize that. You have your command center, and this is where your chief of staff, which is your digital marketing like main go-to, this is where it lives. And so you talk to it. Let's say you record a podcast, right? Or we have this conversation, and maybe Ram's recording it, and so he lets me get the video, and I can just take this video, drag and drop it here. Maybe you want even just help building out your content, and you say like, "Hey, you know my brand profile, you know my ideal client. Give me 15 ideas for a long form YouTube video that would be like 10 minutes long." It will give you 15 ideas. And then you say, hey, I like number 9. Can you go ahead and write a script with my voice and my tone so that I can use that and turn it into a downloadable like Word doc? And it'll do that. And it'll give you the Word doc. And then you can go and record the video. And you mess up a lot. You have a lot of pauses and breaks. That's okay. You just go and you drop that video in and say, hey, clean up this video and post it to YouTube. And then also cut it into, 4 different clips or 3 different clips for Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And use my brand profile and the transcript or whatever, the video, and go ahead and make like 3 Instagram posts, like 2 carousels or a carousel and 2 still image posts, and 3 threads and 3 tweets and a LinkedIn, piece. Like all of that, just right here. You give it the video and you press send. It might ask you a couple clarifying questions just to make sure it's got everything right. And then it's going to hand it off to the back end, like agent team, to actually go and make this content. And so once you uh, get back that it's like, hey, this is in review, ready for you to approve, you would essentially go to the review and you're going to have all of these assets here ready for you. So this was like a 12-minute video I recorded. I asked for a few TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube short videos from the like clipped from the long video, as well as some still image posts and other things. And so it gave me, and right here I can look, it gave me the clips. It wrote the captions. I have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. I have 2 of each, is what I asked for. If I don't like the caption, I can always regenerate the caption. It gives me a little prompt, and I can give it a prompt like, "Hey, I like this caption, but make it a little bit more explanatory and educational." And it'll rewrite the caption with what I want. And so I have all of these here. I can go down and I see like the tweets and the thread posts and how it writes those. And again, I can always have it change things. I can set when I want it to publish. It'll give me a time, and it's typically being trained on when like my audience is like where my audience is located. So maybe my audience on Instagram is more in the Midwest, but my audience on Threads is more on the West Coast. And so it's going to optimize the posting schedule based off of where that audience is and who's engaging. But I can always change that if I want to. I can approve and schedule, and it goes to post. And then you can see here like Instagram posts, and it generates the photo. If I don't like the photo, I can click regenerate, and it gives me a prompt box to like ask it to regenerate. Or if I have a photo that I like that I want to use instead, I can just click replace, and I can go here. I can use this one and it can replace it. So if you have other photos that you've taken of like your workouts or whatever, and you want to use those instead, you can just go and put in your own photos if you want. Um, and it has everything here. And once you're ready, you just approve and schedule, and it will post to that platform at the right time for you. And then our next iteration will be tracking the actual performance metrics of your posts as you continue to use the platform, so it can optimize its content strategy and its tips and the ideas that it brings to you and its own content creation to improve metrics week over week. So that is the actual platform that you have, which makes the stress of actually going onto any of those platforms and doing the posting. I believe it deletes that stress because you're no longer getting on Instagram, finding yourself in the doom scroll before you post. Instead, you're on a completely separate system, and you can post from all platforms right there without ever having to actually get onto your TikTok, without ever having to actually get onto your X or your threads.
As far as checks and balances and making sure that it got to where it needed to go, it showed up the way you wanted it to show up. Um, do you have anything in place, or is that a manual process? Like if now I'm gonna have to actually open up 7 different things and be like, okay, did it get to X? Did it get to TikTok? Did it get to YouTube?
Yep, that's the trust. That's just building trust. It's natural. So when we were testing this internally, we were super nervous, and so we posted to like some test accounts. And then when we went and actually saw that it posted, we were like, "Holy shit! Like this is awesome!"
It actually
And
works.
it's yeah, and so it just takes time. You're gonna in just by wanting to see if it worked and that internal like kind of anxiety around trying something new, you're going to verify. But then after using it for a week, you're going to be like, "Oh, I don't need to check this anymore at all." But essentially, we want you to go to those platforms,
Yeah.
but we want you to use those platforms for the reason that makes you valuable, and that's the human connection. Your job should not be stressing out over what to post and how it looks and how polished it is. Your focus should be on, I want to message people who are engaging with it. I want to have conversations with people. I want to build relationships that helps garner all that trust and turns it into paying clients who actually want your service.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I see this stuff, I still can't quite wrap my head around it because it's like, how the fuck does it do all this shit that would take a human being so long to do? I don't understand the connectivity of it. It's like, how are all these apps linked to this one system? Um, do we need to know any of that shit?
No, no, I mean
Okay.
it's all built-in systems. We have to go through a crap ton of security checks. So like in order to be approved as a third-party service for like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and stuff, we have to go through all of these processes and show them our, internal kind of orchestration and show them videos of how it works so that they can approve it. And we have to meet certain security checks. And so there's a layer of deep kind of engineering that goes into being able to plug into all of these so that you essentially can go in, connect your service, log in like you're normally logging in, and it saves your login to your own part of the system that's secured and kind of gate kept to you, and it allows you to then like go and just say, hey, post this to TikTok, and it's already integrated and connected to your TikTok, and it posts to yours.
So is this an app or is this a web-based thing? How does this work essentially from a usability standpoint?
Yeah, so right now it's a web-based thing.
Okay.
We're hoping to get it to be an actual app eventually, but you can use the like you can log in on your phone.
Okay.
It's just not a downloadable app. You just pull up the content command website on your phone, you log in there, and you can still see it, control it.
Okay. So basically, once from start to finish, Isaac, I want to sign up. I want to do this. I want to be involved in this. I pay you, I go through an onboarding process. Once the onboarding process is finished, you guys built out the actual functionality of the website, give us the credentials for the website. We log in, we start using it.
Yep.
That's the workflow.
Yep, that's the workflow. So to
Okay.
get into price, because I don't want to delay that, I don't want to seem like, oh man, I need to like push this off because it's super expensive and crazy. No, we wanted to make this as cost efficient as possible, and so we have different tiers, and you get a certain amount of credits for each tier. So if you're just starting out and you really just need to focus on optimizing like one platform or two platforms at like consistent times per week, our base tier is essentially like 250 a month, and it's very cost efficient, and it automates the creation, helps you come up with ideas, helps write scripts if you want to do videos, and automates that posting process. And we go all the way up to our highest tier, which is like companies that have multiple maybe social media accounts for each platform based off of what they provide, and um, everywhere in between, but it's a credit based pricing. So it's anywhere from 250. Growth tier is 500, pro tier is 750, and then our enterprise tier is kind of customized. But that growth and pro are typically where you sit, where you'll be able to, for between 500 and 750 a month, be able to post multiple times a day to multiple platforms. And that's where you're going to see the most return on that investment, because you're going to be building that awareness and that audience of high engaged people, and you're going to have the freedom to go and just engage with them instead of worrying about posting and analytics and all of that. Instead, you just focus on building relationships, and so you end up getting people to sign up way faster. And that level of service with an agency or with a other content coach is going to cost you anywhere between $5,000 and $12,000 a month, and you're getting that
Yeah.
same level of ideation, creation, and distribution for between 500 and 750.
Now, as far as like video creation, stuff like that, you still have to physically go onto your phone and make videos and all the other stuff. Like you have to still physically create that type of intellectual property to feed it into the system.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. We contemplated having like a video generator. Now we can create clips. Like if you give us a long video,
Yeah.
we
Yep.
will edit the long video to make it polished and clean, and so it doesn't have your retakes in it or mess ups, and you don't have to worry about like, oh shit, I messed up, and then you stop it and like you have to restart it again. No, you don't have to do that. The system cleans it up. Polishes it, adds B-roll if you want B-roll, adds captions if you want captions, all of that. But making novel new videos, I think that's where the health and wellness and fitness industry specifically should avoid. Because again, people want to see you, they want to hear you. And as soon as you start using AI to imitate your value that you bring, that's a dangerous thing. It's one thing to have it right in your tone, but it's something that you would write all together and build all together. It's another thing to have your face and your voice be completely generated by AI. Because then once they figure out it's AI, because eventually these platforms will say like, oh, this is a AI model that's mimicking the creator. It'll flag it, and then people lose trust. They'll be like, who am I paying? Right. So we've
So
kind of avoided that.
I want to get into some of the nitty gritty of this stuff. So for example, like I do a group call every week on Wednesdays, and it's always on Zoom. So is this something where I could take that hour-long Zoom, or I could take one of my podcasts with Jimmy that I did, or a podcast that I appeared on that I have a file for, and feed it into this thing and have it cut reels for me.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Actually, I was doing a demo for another company that you know, and I won't name names, but you had done a podcast with them, and so for their demo, I just went and pulled the podcast that you did with them because it's we're not posting it anywhere; it's just internal to show them, and it chopped it up into like five different clips that were all kind of highlighted as the most kind of viral type content that you would have said, and the most educational type content that you would have said and that they would have said, and created those clips and put it in there for approval with the captions.
That's fucking wild. Is there any type of a trial period or any type of a demo that you can do to do? I mean, it's not that I don't trust you, obviously. I certainly do. Lord knows that you're one of the only good ones out there doing this kind of shit. But like, I think it's like until you see it and watch it work, you don't actually believe it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So we do have an onboarding. I should have said this. We do have an onboarding price. The onboarding price for the base tier is 500. For the growth and pro tier, it's 1500 because that brand profile is way more robust. But after that, everything else is month to month basis. You can quit whenever you want. There's no contract, there's no trial length, there's no period of time there where it's like, oh, you have to use this for a certain amount of time. Everything is month to month. So if you're using it for, 4 weeks and you're like, well, actually this made my life way worse, then you can quit at any time.
Okay. And then who, as far as like your ideal client, or at least who you think this is going to give the biggest benefit for, um, maybe a monthly revenue number that the person is taking in, maybe it's you know, full-time versus part-time coach. Like who do you envision using this service to the best of its abilities?
Honestly, kind of agnostic on that because it's built around your profile. And
Okay.
so the back end systems that we built don't care who you serve or how you serve them or how you speak. It doesn't care until it actually hears you speak, until it actually understands your tone, your voice, your personality, and it's molded to it. So I would say really it's just, are you someone who wants to grow your business, who wants to be more present on social media digitally and wants to build your brand awareness, but doesn't necessarily want to spend 20 to 30 hours a week just being a content creator or managing your social media. And you want to be more human in your business and less attached to your phone. I think that's really who we're going for. And if you have the money to invest in a tool that costs, anywhere from 250 to 750 a month, depending on how many credits you want to have, then it's going to be an amazing and useful platform to help you grow your brand, your presence, and stay more human with the people who actually want you to be human.
Can you talk and elaborate a little bit more about the credit system just so we understand it better?
Yep. So essentially, like you get a handful of credits depending on what tier you're on, and each output has a certain number of credits. So maybe it's a long form video that's being edited and posted to YouTube. That's going to be X number of credits.
Okay.
And then like a TikTok post, a tweet, or whatever is going to be an X number of credits. And then as you just talk and get ideas from your chief of staff, that initial agent, every like certain number of tokens used in the conversation, so depending on conversation length, might use like one credit, just because it's calling on external LLMs that cost money, for the company to run. So that's how we control costs, but it's very cost efficient. You can do a lot with the credits you're given.
Okay. I was going to say, like, is there a breakdown as far as like when you sign up, will people have the transparency to see for this
100%.
functionality, I'll have this many
Yep.
credits for this functionality, it's assigned this many credits so that
Yep.
there's
And
okay.
you can mix and match however you want. Maybe you never use X or threads, so we're not going to like gatekeep a certain number of credits to those. It's just whatever outputs you want. And you have a tracker too, so you can see like, oh, I have this many credits spent, what is it being spent on, and it like itemizes what is maybe taking up the most credits, or what maybe isn't taking up as many credits as you thought, and things like that.
Do you have any coaches currently using it?
We are just launching. We're just launching, so we have a list of about 20 right now
Okay.
that will be starting next week,
Okay.
and we're going to be launching and ready to take on more people.
Okay. Guys, do you have anybody in here have any questions for him about how this works? Anything else? I've kind of asked all the questions I needed to know as far as my own ability to use it. No, okay. You guys will get Isaac's info after this anyway, and if you want to reach out to what best way to do it is email.
Yeah, email, and I'll also give you my Calendly link. So anyone can go and book
Okay.
a free strategy call to see how it would actually work in their business.
Justin
Um,
McClintock. How do we know if
how do
it's
we know it's
working?
working? Like metrics.
Yeah.
Uh, Great question. So honestly, like you can track it yourself and see for yourself the difference. Um, and we are building that next feature that will actually track performance metrics for you and report that and again reinforce itself so it improves. But again, if you're posting 2 to 3 times a week and then you go to posting 5 to 7 times a week, it's going to improve. It's just a breakdown of pure numbers. And if you're posting to one platform and you improve to posting on, 4 platforms at 5 times a week, you're only going to improve. It's just a law of numbers.
Are there any metrics? This is probably a good question for us to know. Are there any metrics that would be necessary to look at? Like, for example, I know there's a lot of stuff that you can access as far as metrics are concerned for engagement and audience and views and likes and shares and all this stuff on Instagram when you have a profile that's a business profile. Are there any things that, even if we don't use your service, are there things that we should be looking out for as people to judge whether our content is doing well?
Yep, absolutely. And it depends on the platform, right? So across all platforms, you definitely want to look at things, not just likes. Likes are kind of a vanity metric. It feels good, but it doesn't really equate to an engaging audience. What you really want to look at is the engagement length if it's a video. Are they actually watching past the first 3 seconds? If they're
Okay.
watching past the first 3 seconds, they're way more likely to stick around and watch more. And it wasn't that they just accidentally scrolled to your thing and like sneezed and then like kept scrolling, right? So that's an important one is like if you post a reel or a video, how many people are staying past the first 3 to 5 seconds? The second one is the number of comments. Comments are a really good indicator. The third one is depending on the platform, how many are going to your profile and checking out your profile. Like
Okay.
LinkedIn, for example, will let you know, like, hey, your last post caused 12 people to come actually look at your profile, right? So that is a really good indicator. And if you have some kind of call to action, how many are taking up that call to action? Maybe your call to action is like DM, the word command, content command, and I'll send you my breakdown of the top 5 metrics, right? And how many people actually DM'd from that. That's a really good, metric to look at.
Can you
And
track that?
so
I didn't know you can track that on Instagram. If you have how do you track CTA engagement?
that one's more difficult. That one's still a
Okay.
little bit manual. We're working on a process, but it's a lot of back and forth with Meta to
Oh,
try
got it.
and
So did
figure
you
that out.
did you guys have to actually reach out to all these individual social media platforms to get them to approve your usage of it?
Correct. Like there
Oh
was a lot of
wow.
like back and forth videos and emails and et cetera to get this approved.
Oh wow. Okay. So like you guys are actually tapped into some of the tech people there, the decision makers there.
Correct.
Huh.
Correct. And we run an audit, like an online research audit on all of the platforms, like every 2 weeks, to get the most up-to-date information specific to health, wellness, and fitness businesses on like what causes higher engagement within those specific things we talked about. People actually commenting, people watching more of the video link, things like that, and seeing what's working, what's not working. And we update the entire platform with the most recent uh, like research. So even
Wow.
outside of you improving your own individual marketing team, the whole platform as a whole is upgrading and updating itself every 2 to 3 weeks.
I would imagine that because it's got kind of a life of its own and you guys are steering the ship, it's only going to get more robust and better as time goes on, I would imagine.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you get in at the ground level, your prices will probably go up.
Probably not.
No? Okay.
Probably not.
If you're like me and you're the Robin Hood of fitness and nutrition like I am, it won't. But I would imagine that this is going to get to a point where it's probably going to cost you guys more money to have to run it because there's going to have to be more back end stuff and there's going to have to be more. more tech involved and everything else. And I mean, it's going to have to just be a pay to play situation now.
I believe that as we start to get more into like hardware type, like Silicon Valley funding, like hardware, we're going to have more chip manufacturers here, which means that the cost to compute is going to go down and it'll
Oh,
actually
interesting.
get like cheaper. So as we build out more robust features, the cost will somewhat stay stabilized.
Cool.
And as long as we keep a modest profit margin, like I'm not going out and taking on a bunch of big investors, so I don't have anyone telling me that I have to have a certain profit margin to make them happy.
Yeah.
So I could give a shit. I just want people to win, and I want to see coaches like the ones here be able to actually be the ones that people go to on social media instead of those, tits and ass influencers. Instead, they actually go to the Melissas and the Andrews and the Lexis
Yeah.
and get their information because we're everywhere.
Well, guys, if you don't have any more questions for him, I don't have any more questions for him. I will. Well, you're going to send me your Calendly link. I'll have your email. Oh, hold on. We got Andrew.
We have a few. So, Jillian, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Ronnie, so you mentioned the investment cost for the content command, but in terms of hardware at RCS, you mentioned a separate laptop. We take away that. You don't need to get a separate hardware. Ours is all cloud based, and so you have your own isolated tenant, like isolated row of our cloud that all of your data is stored securely. So you don't have to go get separate hardware to put your stuff. If you have other agents you want to build, then yeah, you can do that. But as far as content goes and building out your brand profile, you don't need to run through anything else. Um, Andrew, where did you see content as strategy going as more people flood channels with tools like this? Still ultimately comes down to whether your content is good. Yes, I mean, it comes down to whether your content is good, but also we are the first platform that does end to end from ideation to creation to posting and training on your specific voice and your tone. So we're the tip of the spear. And so as other companies come on, it's we're going to be able to improve as they're just starting. And so I think it's not just the platform, obviously we'll be able to stay kind of innovating and tip of the spear, but it also comes down to helping you iterate your content. Maybe you want to really enhance who you're talking to, being able to work with that chief of staff agent and say like, hey, I want to connect better with my ideal customer, my ideal client. Help me, refine my content to really speak to that person. Help me understand better my ideal customer. And it will help you do that. It's not just a place for you to go to post. It's a place for you to go to ideate, to actually go through ideas and to talk to your chief of staff because your chief of staff is completely trained on your ideal customer. And it has access to the entire internet. So it can do deep research and actually help you. It's the power of the ChatGPTs and the Claudes and everything else, but completely customized to you and your voice and your client.
One more there from Mallory.
Mallory, maybe I missed it. Was this a self-made product? Which platform did you use to help create it? Claude, Chat, OpenClaw, Hermes. Awesome. So yeah, this was completely made by myself and my buddy that works for me, who's another engineer, and we built this from the ground up. So everything was coded by us. We do have some coding agents that help out with that, but a lot of it was hard coded. And then the AIs that we use goes through something called Open Router, and so it's a bunch of different AIs that we hand select the best AI model for the specific task, and then we have a proprietary system that helps organize and orchestrate which models do which tasks. So you don't have to like just trust that ChatGPT alone is going to do what you want it to do.
Miles, good question.
How does support work for this? Is it AI based as well, or is there a human component? Support based, as in like if you need help with the app, if there's things that you have questions about, things like that, that's human based. You talk to us, and so we're very hands on with helping optimize this for you and making it work for you. But as far as support for like, hey, I want to better craft my hooks for videos, your chief of staff is going to be the absolute expert on that because it understands from a world basis what hooks are doing best. And it understands your voice and your personality and your core offers and what your expertise. So being able to just go back and forth with your actual agent does wonders as well.
That was an awesome question, Miles. I did not think of that because I like, wait, I'm not going to have any questions. Yes, the fuck I will.
Yep. No, you talk to us. You talk to people.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, you'll get Isaac's information. You'll get his Calendly link in the email following up with the recording of this, and then so email and Calendly link is best. I'll just give them your Instagram anyway. Also, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they have it if they don't already have it. But no, dude, thank you. This is great.
Thank you.
It's very promising. It's very cool. I don't for the price that you're quoting for this and the amount of time. I mean, I don't think, let's put it this way. I would still use something like this, even though I don't really need it. But what I'm missing as far as going cross-platform, I mean, that could put another 5 or 6 grand in my pocket, I would imagine. If I got TikTok people and I got YouTube people and I got X people and I got Threads people, because right now, if I'm making what I'm making just off of Instagram, what am I missing out on all these other platforms? So, kind of a no-brainer for, especially for somebody like me. Even if I do have the content thing figured out more or less, I'm just missing out on being able to repurpose it elsewhere. So,
Awesome. I
thanks again.
appreciate it, Aram. And I did want to announce too, like this is what I'm using for our official launch. Like it's like we're announcing our launch here with the RCS community because I thought there was no better place to do it. And so we did want to do something special. My team and I. So I talked about the implementation fee being 50, like between 500 and 1500 depending on the tier, and then the actual cost. Well, for anyone in the RCS community, whether you're here on this call or you see the recording and you click the Calendly, from Aram's email, we're actually going to put your implementation fee towards your first months of service. So if you get the growth tier or the pro tier and you pay 1500, you essentially are getting 1500 worth credited to your actual subscription, so you don't have to pay for like the first, 2 to 3 months. So I did want to announce that that's something that we wanted to do special just for the RCS community as a thank you for you guys being all a part of this. Every conversation that I had with you all at RCS in Vegas was used as inspiration and motivation to build this tool. I wouldn't be here talking about this or have even built it if it weren't for the people in this room and people at RCS. So thank you. I appreciate it and
Thanks, man.
excited to help and serve.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, folks. Once I get everything from him and the recording is ready, I'll send it out and then you guys can reach out directly to him and let's get to work and let's make some fucking money and let's make it easier and less stressful.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you guys have a good weekend. Thanks.